Dear members, we will start the session within 5 minutes. Thank you for your patience. So we are expecting a couple of physical participants. So we'll wait until they join with us. So within 5 minutes, we can start. Thank you very much. Once again, very good evening. Thank you very much for joining this program. So this will be our 10th webinar that we are arranging by the Electrical, Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering Sectional Committee for the session 2023-2024. So we have been arranging a lot of programs related to technical matters and other non-technical matters as well. So uh, furthermore, we were arranging a lot of programs which will be benefit for our members for their membership status and achieving their membership goals in ISL. So this will be another similar program. So we discuss about how chartered status and other membership can be obtained from ISL. So this discussion will be the next one. So today we are going to discuss about the pathways for the international professional engineer. So today our speaker is Engineer P.W. Sarat. So first of all, on behalf of the Electrical, Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering Sectional Committee, I want to welcome you to this session. So, and thank you very much all the members joining from physical and online as well. So let me first officially uh, introduce our resource person today to the audience and hand over the floor to him. So Engineer P.W. Sarat is a former Chief Innovative Officer in Sri Lanka Telecom and former Senior Vice President in IESL. And he is a council member of Engineering Council Sri Lanka, and he is a resource person for many student engagement activity programs which are conducted by IESL and other forums in Sri Lanka. So is active member in the Electrical, Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering Sectional Committee over the period of time. So let me first thank for accepting our invitation to conduct this program. So Engineer P.W. Sarat, what do you?
Good evening to you. Thank you, Engineer Dushanta, that giving an introduction about me and giving me a great opportunity to share my little knowledge that is among the audience like you about how to get or how you to become a professional, international professional engineer. Nowadays, actually, this is a much talk topic because I know most of engineers now are leaving the country. But this is not my invitation to leave the country. I want you to stay the country. But I know that is due to some other personal reasons you are going to migrate it. But my kind request is, even you go there, you will come back. This is one of the beautiful country, not the beautiful, most beautiful country on this planet. So with that note, I want to say that pathways to become international professional engineer. Uh, Wait a minute. Until that is a technical glitches are cleared. So now uh, I want to say that now what is the difference between international professional engineer and chartered engineer? The first question. Now in a chartered engineer, in we normally the chartered engineer is a person who is trained and who are made with his experience to resolve the complex engineering problems. That is a definition of chartered engineer. Complex engineering problems means you are able to design, plan, test, accept, research and development, and operate, build and operate. So for this purpose, we check competencies. Normally we check what are the competencies we check. That is 5 competencies we normally check. The first competency is your theoretical knowledge. Second competency is how do you apply practical theory knowledge to practice. Number 3, how can you get the leadership? Number 4, how you communicate with all stakeholders. Number 5, your professional conduct. We test all these competencies to become a chartered engineer. Prerequisite is that you need 4-year engineering degree recognized or accredited or equivalent, and 2 years training and 2 years industrial experience under a chartered engineer. So then, to become an international professional engineer, what is the difference? So difference is degree of competency levels. When we look at you as a charter, we will look at it national level. National level means how do you demonstrate your skills in the national level, right? So in the national context, but when it comes to the international professional engineer, similar competencies we evaluate it, but in the international context. Please do understand that here we are not going to undermine our charter process. So the thing is, now when we think about the national context, we have to adhere with the certain standards, we have to comply with certain regulations at the national level. But when it comes to the international professional engineer, it is in international level. Engineer, it means international professional engineer. How can you define it? Actually, chartered engineer is a membership. Chartered engineer is a membership. Now, when you obtain a chartered status, you are becoming a member of ISA. You can use an abbreviation C-Inch MISA. Once you get your charter, you are now registered in Sri Lanka in the Engineering Council of Sri Lanka as a engineering practitioner under the chartered engineer category. Right? But this license is issued only for practicing in Sri Lanka. Other country may accept it as it is or not. Right? I will repeat it. Once you become a chartered engineer, you are becoming a member of ISL. Once you become ISL, you can get the registration at ECSL as an engineer practitioner under the chartered engineer category. Then you have a license to practice in Sri Lanka as a chartered engineer. But that license, you have a validity within the country. But other country may accept it or not is a different question. But in here, similar to international professional engineer is not a membership, it is a registration. Right? It is a registration. Right? It is a registration. So it is a registration. Now, it is a registration under a agreement of member countries of IEA. Right? IEA. IEA means International Engineer Alliance. Right? It is an agreement. It is an alliance. Please to understand, it is not the country to country. It is a cartel of institution like ISL and India and Australia, Malaysia, etc., they form a cartel and apply same domain, same rules. If they have international professional engineer agreement, so the members have the mobility. Mobility means if you are becoming an international professional engineer in Sri Lanka, you can go to the Australia, but Australia, your academic qualification will not be questioned, but they may ask to do some certification required by those countries as regulation, countries regulation. Right? I think you got the point. So in here, now it is an agreement of member countries of IEA. Right? Please don't misunderstand that even you are having an international professional engineer, you are free to work in any other country. You will have to get the immigration rules, you have to follow it, countries other rules and some certifications. But your degrees will not be, academic qualification and professional engineer qualification will not be questioned. But they will assess your competence. Right? Now in here, you can go to the next slide. Right. Now in here, I further explain it. In IPA means International Professional Engineer Agreement. We call it the jurisdiction. Why we call the jurisdiction? There's slides I cannot. I think number 3 is now visible. Right. Now in here, now if you go to the next slide, okay. Now it is visible for you. Now you can see that it is word called the jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means in the country, not the country to country agreement. Right? For example, in Asia, Sri Lanka, India, Taiwan, South Korea, Malaysia, Hong Kong, and Singapore. In Europe, Ireland, United Kingdom, Oceania, Australia, New Zealand, America, USA, and African continent, South Africa. Respective jurisdiction means the relevant professional association or institution of the respective country. Now you can understand it. It is not the country to country agreement. It's a mutual agreement like a cartel. Right? Now we can go to the next slide. Right. Now, what are the benefits becoming an international professional engineer? The benefit is once our members registered as international professional engineer can practice in any other member countries, but subject to immigratory and other local regulation imposed in the respective countries. Right? Now, once you get the membership here, you can go to the New South Wales and work there. But if the country asks you to do a certain safety and regulation of the New South Wales, you have to do that. But your degree is not questioned. Your other qualification is not being questioned because they are now in a same domain. But additional requirement, they will impose. right? But those are, of course, you can get it easily. Now, second thing is international with added a qualification. For example, say now you are running a startup company, right? You want to undertake a contract in the other country, right? When you submit a bid, what will happen? They will ask, what are your qualifications, your capacity, or your capability? And what you should do, you should do. If you are an international professional engineer, that will be added advantage. And here, members who wish to be entrepreneurs, Howard, members who wish to work in lending banks such as World Bank or ADB, this will be a greater advantage. Now, how to become international professional engineer, right? Now, a 4-year degree, bullet number 1 say 4-year engineering degree accredited or recognized by the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka, right? Second one is engineering degree program accredited by Washington Accord, right? So in here, I think 4-year engineering degree accredited recognized by the Institution of Engineers Sri Lanka. Here, an engineering degree program accredited by the Washington Accord if they don't have a degree in recognized degree. That is that I missing the point. Third, it does not mean that and, but anyway, you have a, forget about this second bullet point, accredited or recognized degree. Now, why I put the second bullet, for example, say someone has studied in another country. He is not having a recognized degree, but his degree is accredited under Washington Accord. He can get the membership of IS. Then he is eligible, right? So, and 3 years post-charter qualification. That is very important. Now, you must need a charter. You must need a degree, not a degree or equivalent. It is a member country rules and regulations, right? So, another one is, this is very important, continuing professional development at a satisfactory level. What do you mean by profession CPD? CPD is you like a resource person or you are getting certain training, both sides. You may be a trainee and you may be a trainer, both sides. Because for the career advancement, even after obtaining your charter, you must see a career advancement. Now, especially when we obtain our charter as electrical engineers, we don't much bothered about the IEC standards. We don't read IEC standard, but only we follow it. But when you want to become international professional engineer, sometimes you will have to read A to Z of the IEC particular standard. For example, transformer testing. Sometimes ITU standard in the telecommunication. Sometimes 3GPP standards, third generation partnership projects, and other respective or relevant standards, you'll have to follow it. Right? Now, the satisfactory CPD level to be evaluated through a competency-based assessment. Now, I am telling that this is very important area. Now, once you become a chartered engineer, if you want to become an international professional engineer, now again you must be in the learning curve. Whatever. Somebody's writing. Okay, right. So then those who have obtained international professional engineer status can use the abbreviated title PING, International Prince Sri Lanka, after their names. Now, for additional information, you can visit this site. Now, my competency assessment is very important. How do you acquire competency is more important. Once you become a chartered engineer, from that point, normally, how to become a chartered engineer? 2 years training, 2 years responsible experience. After that, during that B paper, then the A paper plus Viva and presentation. Then you will become a chartered engineer. Until that point, you are depending on someone else. But once you get the charter, you must be able to work as an independent person. It does not mean that you will have to follow the company or that is institution or any other organization administrative rules. I am telling you can work as independent designer, right? Independent project manager. Without that is why when you want to leave the country or when you want to work some other country, definitely you cannot ask from many people like in Sri Lanka. You will have to be independent, self-learning, self-motivated, follow the international standard, follow the safety practices, follow the risk analysis, etc. Right? Now, go to the next one. Now in here, again, pathway to international professional engineer here. 4-year engineering degree accredited or recognized by the ISL. Plus minimum 2 years of work experience plus 2 years of chartered engineer. Is a chartered engineer plus minimum 3 years work experience in charge of significant engineering works. Please do understand that the word is very important. Sentence is a minimum 3 years of independent work. Minimum 3 years of independent work. Right? You can understand what do you mean by independent work. For example, when you are appointed as a project engineer, right? Say substation, installation of substation, no installation, no telecommunication, not. How can you have to plan, right? Then you will have to coordinate. You will have to install. You will have to test, and you will have to commission. It doesn't mean that you are going to do everything, but only thing, without depending your boss, you will have to do everything. Say independent work. That competencies are tested. Then you have to adhere into the international standards. International standards. Right? Sometimes in Sri Lanka, when you do it, you have to compromise international standard, but follow the national standard. That is enough. I can't say it is wrong. But when you go to the international level, you will have to think that the country like in Australia, they are actually safety is a paramount of importance. Safety number 1. Japan, safety first. Right? You cannot compromise it. Now, CPD requirement. This is very, very important. You must maintain CPD records in electronic form or hard form, right? Minimum 50 hours required at the time of you submit your application, right? Sometimes CPD means you cannot claim I attended a seminar. It is not a CPD. You attended, what are the competencies I gained? You conducted a seminar. What are the competencies I gain? You will have to write what are the competencies you gain out of doing these CPD activities. This is CPD record. Now again, I am coming to subject the benchmark. How do you benchmark international professional engineer? Again, 4-year degree accredited or recognized by ISL, eligible for independent practice, be a chartered engineer. Once you become a chartered engineer, you are independent person. Independent person does not mean that you will have to leave the office without telling boss, right? But it means actually you are independent. Technically, in engineering work, you are independent. You cannot ask the boss that how can I fix this pole? Or how can I fix this exchange? How can I put a lightning arrestor? You can't ask. You may consult sometime, but you can't ask it every time. Right? Now, have gained a 3 years experience, have maintained continuous CPD, and it have been evaluated through a competence-based assessment. When you do the competence-based assessment, we normally, panel members, we evaluate you whether you are up to the international standards. All interviews are recorded because IEA is an agreement. They will come and check samples for the auditing work. We don't know which sample they will take it. That is why mostly evaluators are very strict than offering a chart. Because when we recommend someone to the international arena, we have the accountability. Otherwise, our institution name will be blacklisted. That is not good for the country as well. Right. Now in here, what is the assessment process? Then you need to write a career report. Career report consists of assessment of sponsors. 2 sponsors, they know about you, should sign it. Sponsoring. Right? When they write it, they will have to submit a confidential report. Normally, this confidential report, they submit separately. Sponsors may be 2, 1 minimum international professional engineer is required, another one may be a fellow. Right? And assessment of work experience, it is a post-charter. An assessment of competence, again in the interview, after evaluating this one, interview, there is no exam, presentation is there, assessment. Now we go, how do we do the assessment? Now in here, this slide explained well. Here, experience and training you get as a associate, right? Because you know why? Associate member, training and experience. 2 years training, 2 years experience. Then become a chartered engineer. Then the core competencies, level of quality of competence. Level. Right? Now, international professional engineering means what? Similar core competencies, but high level quality and competency international requirement. This slide is very important. Right? Once you become a chartered engineer, you develop certain core competencies. You have certain competencies and level of quality of competence. The quality level. Even a quality word is not an absolute thing. It's a relative thing. In here, international professional engineer, we test it very precisely. Quality. Because we'll have to work in the international. Right? So therefore, keep in mind this slide, very important. Again, now assessment of competencies, career report and interview. Now, number one, competency. Now, what we check? Practical application of engineering knowledge and understanding of engineering principles. Kindly note that those are checked based on your post-chart experience, not the pre-chart experience. Right? Leadership and management, and communication, interpersonal skills, and professional conduct. But in here, practical application of engineering knowledge of understanding of engineering principles. Examples. What are the examples? Now, what are the projects you have under? How these you achieve the results of the projects? How these benefits are realized? Right? And sometimes if you don't do the project, you may be operation maintenance. How did you involve with the business process rearrangements? Or business process we call the re-engineering. Right? So now, for example, now say you are involving in the testing of a substation, or you are involved in the testing of a transformers, testing of the telecommunication node, right? Then what are the tests you carried out? How to jot down these test results? Having done this, what are the competencies you achieved? Those are things you tested. Right? Now, when we go to the next slide, you can understand this is a career report template. Now in here, I can tell you about brief description of project, major responsibilities, achievement of relevant competencies. Right? Now I know sometimes I will get another one is a sample. Now in here, there are checkbox, 4 checkbox. Now you can have the practical application. Tick, 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 tick. I know some mistakes we have done it. Given period, this is a given period. You mark all the tick. Sometimes it is not necessary. Why is it? You can't get that all the competencies in a particular event. For example, I will tell in the next slide. Now in here. Now someone else's report. Now in here say from August 2012 to September, particular period. Now he claimed practical application and understanding of engineering principle. He took it. And leadership and management, he ticked. Communication and interpersonal skills, he ticked. Right? But in here, he doesn't claim professional conduct part. Maybe. Now in here say, what are major job responsibilities? Here, the problem is here, I was an electrical engineer responsible for planning and scheduling project using project management tool Primera, also responsible for the toilet. Right. For the time being, it is okay. But it is not 100% correct. Why is it? I was an electrical engineer is my role. Is my designation. The electrical engineer is your designation. But you will have to little bit listed up. I am an electrical engineer responsible for planning and scheduling project tools in the project management tool. So his responsibilities are not mentioned. Can you guess that? Responsibilities are not mentioned. What are my responsibilities? Responsibility is that once you appointed to play that role is different, but responsibility is different. You are responsible to achieve what you are accountable to achieve what you have to state. Right. Second one is that practical application of knowledge and understanding of engineering principles. Here he is telling responsible for reviewing. Right. Site visits to ensure that. But anyway, now I am actually this particular person may have passed it. Actually, yeah, the learning curve. But in here, how can you gain that engineering principles? Then better he or she should have written what? After reviewing this drawing by myself, I was able to interpret these things and I understood it properly. So I gained this competence. Did you get my point? Did you get my point? I can say I participated for the testing. Participation means what? You present there. But how can you claim your competence? You will a little bit elaborate on not all the areas. You can say, having reviewed this document, I am now able to review similar things and I am now able to train my subordinates using my knowledge. Right? This is the what you will have to say. So therefore, you will have to link, if you claim leadership and management here, prepare project timelines. Prepare project timeline is a one of duty. But preparing project timeline, how you can prepare, he or she has done great job. But project timeline means what? After preparing a timeline, how can you prepare a timeline? You will have to consult all stakeholders. Then you made an agreement with them. Then I develop what? My communication skills, people handling, and what? Leadership. Okay? Right. So therefore, I am telling in here, career report template. Here I explain again. Explain key role and responsibilities. Explain key role and responsibility different. Right? What is the key role? Right? If you are selected to play a role in a movie, you are a hero. But what is your responsibility? You should get the audience attracted because of your personality. Right? But if you act a way that a joker will act, what will happen? That is the difference between your role and responsibility. Role is what is given to you, but responsibility, how do you achieve that? How do you play the role? Role, of course, you have to play. But how responsible you are? How responsible you are to play that? Right? Did you get the point? Right? Now, then, for example, I was a project engineer. My role was to participate for testing. It's all right. But describe the activities you involve. What are the tests I witnessed or carried out? What are the procedures? In brief. Then, how did I analyze the results? After that, you can say, justify how did you achieve competencies using action verb. I will be able to carry out a certain test and analyze it. Now I am competent. Right? I am now competent in carrying test by myself. Previously, no. And I will be able to coach my subordinate staff. I did no, you don't need more explanation, right? So then, next one. Examples. Common mistakes. I was appointed as district engineer. Why you? I was a district engineer, right? That is my designation. Then what is my role? What is my responsibility? Missing. Again, I had to associate with many stakeholders. No explanation given. How did you improve the communication skills? Now, for example, you may be district engineer, area engineer, telecom or electricity board. Or you are maybe a project manager in a company that offers a contract to some other client, right? Client may not be a technical guy. How can you win his heart? How can you communicate with him? After communication, so for a district engineer, area engineer, regional engineer, you will have to associate with the politicians. You associate with professionals, doctors, engineers, lawyers. Then you have to do some certain presentations. But when you do the presentation, you cannot do the culture flow and the other things, the layman's. Right? You cannot do the knot theory or the radio transmission propagation theory, etc. You can do the high voltage testing and how the impulse testing. But you can, layman language, you can speak. So that is your communication skill you are developing. Okay? Right. Right. Common mistakes. Please do understand. Safety policy. This lecture is I am delivering for the electrical and electronic engineers and telecom engineers mainly. Maybe mechanical engineers listening, may not be, maybe civil engineers also listening. But safety is important for everyone. Safety is everyone, everyone. So therefore, I have seen that most of the international professional engineer candidates, they have given a minimum effort to write about the safety policies. Right? You will have to see that whenever I do a project, how do I did it? How did I do it using without compromising the safety? Right? Safety you can't compromise. Right? What are the safety policies? For example, electrical engineer. If you are involved with a high voltage, what should be the safety policy? Electrical engineer, what is safety policy? It says what? Number one is human safety. When you are electrical engineer, number one is human safety. Second thing is equipment safety. Third is what? Service. You cannot compromise human life. Then equipment. Then only service. Sometimes you'll have to interrupt the service because you can compromise service, but you can compromise safety. Right? So therefore, here word is a mistake, is compliance with regulation has not been focused. Sometimes regulations you have not focused in the report. For example, in telecommunication engineer, when you construct a tower, what are the regulations? Unlike high voltage, you will not get electrocuted, but environmental impact assessment, whether earthing you have done properly. Otherwise, the other neighbors will be complaining. Because sometimes because of the lightning, if you don't do the earthing properly, the neighbors may be affected, right? And sometimes electromagnetic effects, EMC, etc. Right? So, and adherence to standards, regulation standards, more importantly, risk assessment and analysis. What do you mean a risk assessment? I know sometimes, for example, I am asking you, you may be electrical engineer, you are operating a factory, 24 hours operating. Suddenly, what will happen? Your trip switch may be burnt. In the midnight, you can't replace a trip switch. What you have to do? After careful examination, you have to bypass a trip switch. You have to do that. You are compelled to do that. But how can you safety? You can put a security person there. It is a risk assessment. After doing the risk assessment, you have to play after risk mitigation, but without compromising safety. Some situation you have to live with the risk as well. So you'll have to weigh that how the risk is mitigated, how the risk is absorbed. For example, say now in a flooding situation, your HT line, sometime when the flooding situation comes, floods are erupted, why that electricity board people are blaming that? Why actually that they will switch off it? Why is it? If the HT line by a mistake fell on the water, what will happen? How many lives? Water is actually a conduct. So they don't think about what? Service. At that time, life is important. But second example, I told that sometimes it is not so dangerous, but you can manage the risk. If you put some person there and ask them to, if something happen, switch off from the main switch. That is why you always do the risk assessment. Even a chartered engineer, when you electrical engineer, when you do a report, when you do the testing, you will have to do some risk element. But if the risk is very high, you cannot compromise it. But risk is very low, you can mitigate up to certain extent. Right? These are the common mistakes. Okay. In short and sweet, I finished it, but it is because you are a learned members, I don't want to teach you from A to Z an alphabetical order, A to Z, but it is a session now, question and answer.
Thank you very much, Engineer PW Sarat. So now we can open the floor for question and answers. I'm sure our members are having a lot of questions. So currently we are having nearly 100 online participants. So we can open the floor for them. So I think they can make a chat in the chat box so they can directly ask questions.
Dear members, again, I'm requesting to ask a question. Because now I explain entire process, right? And the philosophy and the entire process and what are the strategies. So you can ask questions. Sometimes maybe industry specific problem, you can ask it, no problem. do a presentation before the panel members, I think you have some courage to do that. So that's why, but it is possible. Right? Somebody was audio also. Yeah. Question is, Engineer T. Gamage asking what is the difference between a true international body like IET, IMEC and obtaining international through ISI. Actually, this is out of the scope, but anyway, I will explain a little bit. Now, if you are a IET member, if you are IET member or IET chartered member, you can apply international professional engineer in UK as well. So if you get the international professional engineer from UK, by quoting that one, you can apply a charter here through the mutual agreements. I think that is my answer. Right? But at the moment, we have an agreement between Australia, Guinness, Australia, and Sri Lanka. If the ones who become an international professional engineer in Sri Lanka, they can apply Australian charter. But there is an assessment process, but your qualifications will be checked, but not thoroughly assessed. But minimum requirement they have to maintain. For example, say even Australian international professional engineer, if you get in Sri Lanka, if you apply for the Australian charter, if there is a rule that you have a Washington Accord accredited degree, then it is applied. Yeah. I think that is the answer. Senior manager, Saudi and chartered engineer having 30 plus experience. I have attended many online CBDs. How we have to produce CBD record online CBD is accepted. Well, Engineer Mohammed Isamat, thank you very much for joining. If you in a CPD here means you will have to submit a proof. That's only. You're online. It is possible. But someone should certify it. Hope I have answered your question. All unmuted. Yes. All are unmuted and you can ask questions.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello, sir. I'm a chemical in process engineering graduate, and also
Sorry,
I have
can you speak a little bit louder?
I'm a chemical and process engineering graduate, and also I completed my master's degree in University of Morocco in Faculty of Engineering under chartered engineer.
Okay.
Remember, so because I completed my research and the thesis also done under this under chartered engineer, can I use that report thesis as a design report for my charter?
Yeah, are you referring to your charter or international professional engineer career report?
This is for charter, actually.
Actually, this forum is anyway that is not for providing information on charter, but as you ask a question, I am telling when you apply for a charter, is a PhD or another report is a it is a academic report. It is what it means. You know, you have made a lot of effort to write it, the PhD report, etc. But thing is this, in a professional, to become a chartered engineer, experience and training report is not the same report as you are writing for your academic path. But you can get
Okay.
certain extract. For example, say, when you do a research, you can, because definitely you are now involved in the research. Am I correct?
No, sir.
Yeah.
I'm just I'm work as a production engineer in Sri Lankan company. 7 years also I have experience in
Yeah.
as a production.
Yeah. What you can do is
So,
now you can get the extract of your research or design.
yes.
You can write based on that career experience. Okay?
Okay.
Did you get the point?
Sir,
Not exactly your thesis. Okay.
okay, sir. But unfortunately, sir, in chemical and process engineering, there are very low amount of chartered engineers. ECSL register also. There are only 40 members of chemical and process chartered engineers.
Yeah, correct.
So, because the path is I have to follow under the chartered engineer. I have to gain my experience. So that is the challenge I have because no answers from the
Yeah,
IHL also.
what's your good name?
I'm Sasik, sir.
Sachin. Yeah, sorry, this time I cannot answer this question because it is not the forum to discuss it. But anyway, I might note down my number, note 71,
Wait, sir.
note 71 47
Okay.
36 791. Note
Wait, sir.
71
Okay.
47 36
Okay.
791.
Okay.
You better discuss with me offline, then definitely I will direct. If I cannot answer, I will direct you to the competent person. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. What's the next question? Should the post chart exactly 3 years to be eligible, or does it less? Prabhuti, your question. Yeah, exactly 3 years. It is exactly 3 years because we had to follow the international norms of the agreement. Exactly 3 years. And when comes to the competencies, will non-technical experience will be considered, like contract dispute management? Very good question. That is your leadership, right? Or you can see the professional kind of leadership because applying engineering principles, the practical applications, right? And your leadership skills, your managerial skills. When you want to have a manager or leader, you must need those things, some discussions, communications, etc. So you can claim from that. Even it can be related to technical thing as well, because when you want to have when you want to go to resolve a dispute, you must know technical things because technical contract these things. I think I have answered, Prabhuti. Is okay? Right. Samir also asked the same question. Non-technical experience, or why not? You can count it because actually dispute management is, for example, it is another role of a engineer, especially when you do the contract, when you do the project management. You are taking the project management part. How can you manage the project without knowing the contract? The disputes are there. You have to resolve those things. Right. Yes, someone who designing, say maintenance, what sort of competence should be improved? Yes, maintenance, of course. There are a lot of companies, they set the maintenance KPIs. Maintenance, even operation and maintenance.
Alex?
Failure rate, problem resolving time. And as I told you, sometimes you are engaged with the maintenance process. This process may be ineffective now. You will have to do the BPR, business process reengineering. BPR, business process reengineering part. So those things, because you'll have to change the process sometimes. right? Your maintenance strategies. So the designing, because everyone cannot do the designing, everyone cannot do the operation, and everyone cannot do the maintenance. So sometimes when you are, for example, electrical engineer, in area engineering, or telecommunication area engineering, when you do the maintenance, lot of activities, how can you satisfy your customers, maintain the KPIs? How do you reduce the failure rate? Right? How efficient you are attending to customer calls. For international backbone or national backbone, you are maintaining it. How can we maintain the data center 5.9 availability, 99.99, etc. And if you are working the control center of the CB, how can you maintain these? Those are operation things. Is it necessary to the sponsor to be same company as a candidate? Better if you can find out same sponsors, but it's not the case. If you're a non-person, you can do that. But only thing, for example, say you are working a company, you are working a contracting company, right? You are offering a service to another company, B company. The B company obtain your services from A company. Now the B company is an international professional engineer. You are working the A company as a contractor. Then actually when you are engaged most of the time. Why? When you are offering a service. For example, when I get a services from, when I was working in SLT, we got the service from the Huawei, ZT, Juniper, Cisco, etc. Now CB also same thing. They get the service from the ABB. Right? When the ABB engineer comes and involved with me or some other person. So then actually, then he can sign for you. Not about you. Right? Because he's engaged, because he knows about me. I know about you, etc.
Can I ask you a question, please, Mr. Sarat? I am
Yes,
Ruchita from Brisbane, Australia.
Yes, Ruchita.
Thank you very much for having this presence. Now, can I participate online the presentation from Australia? That is a question one. The
Yes.
second thing, do I have to send my original certificate to the ISL?
Yes.
I am a 30 plus years chartered engineer in Australia, and not I'm a citizen, so it's not for the citizenship.
Yeah, I know. Right. Number one is question number one is whether, yes, because actually you are an Australia, you are now living in Australia, you are living in down under. Now you cannot come Sri Lanka. So then we are flexible enough. Number two, your question is whether it means original application. Now, I don't know whether you have the digital certificate or other hard copy.
Hard copies.
If you have the hard copy, you can send the copy certified by someone in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And instead of having a fellow, and there's another clause saying that some other person can sign agreed from the Institute of Engineers. Now, can somebody from the Australian chartered engineer sign for that?
Under rules, actually, I have sorry, I'm not actually complete in my mind, but what I can say that there are two sponsors to be signed, right? One sponsor should be an international professional engineer of ISI, right? Second person may be international professional engineer in any other institution accepted by ISI. As therefore you are in Australia now, you can get the signature from the Australia, the person who is having the international professional engineer of Australia. Okay?
International professional engineer, right? If it is not, if he doesn't have the international professional engineer, he can't sign. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. But I think you can find out many international professional engineers from Brisbane or somewhere.
Yeah, thanks. The reason first I asked the question about the sending the original certificate, when I called the office in ISL Sri Lanka, they said I have to send the original certificate, which is a really risk factor there.
Yes, now even now, for example, it is somebody should then Australian side, they are like we are testing it as a before a JPO, there must be you can attest
Yeah,
it
yeah.
to someone and right. You can speak to the chief executive officer, he will do that. We will also inform.
Thank you so much.
Only thing is here, authentication is a question. If you can authenticate it, is no issue. Right? Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have any question about the audience? Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will ask Engineer Dushyant to open up a forum. You have the recording as well. If you have any question, please post that forum. Right? WhatsApp forum, then we'll answer. If you have any question, further question. Hope that is a you got something out of my presentation because secularly short presentation, but only thing is I cannot teach everything in a limited time and it is sometimes it will be boring if you take more time. But in here, what I want to say that I want to highlight the common mistakes. You do it, and what is the philosophy, underlying philosophy of obtaining international professional engineer, and what are the strategies? Right? Having said that, thank you very much again for your patience and good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, Engineer PW Sarath, for joining with us today. So we had a very interactive session regarding the pathways for international professional engineering status. So I think most of members requested to conduct this program because of the importance of this membership status. So I think we were able to sufficient information for members to achieve this milestone in the ISL journey. So let me first thank Engineer PW Sarath on behalf of the Electrical, Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering Section Committee for joining with us today and elaborate his experience and share his knowledge with a very comprehensive presentation and interactive session. Thank you very much. And thank you very much all the online participants who joined with us today for their interactiveness. And so they have asked questions and I think most of them were clear. And thank you very much all the physical participants joined with us today. And for your information, this was a live recording at ISL Mysore studio. So we will be able to share this recording within a very short period of time for your later reference. And if the resource person is okay, we can share the presentations as well with our members. So we'll arrange those things within very short period. So I should thank ISL CEO Engineer Neil Abhesekar and his team for supporting us to arrange this kind of programs. And thank you very much all the members behind the Electrical, Electronic and Telecommunication Engineering Sectional Committee for arranging these programs tirelessly. We have been arranging a lot of programs for this session, technical, non-technical and membership awareness programs. So I think most of members got a lot of knowledge and exposure